about drawing a crowd, I told you guys that we got the return of a previous guest, and joining us right now is Michael the Problem McKinson. What's up, Mike? Let me
How
get
you
you on.
doing?
Hey, hey. First of all, I appreciate it. I already told all the viewers and listeners that you're staying up late for us. You're in the middle of training, so I appreciate it, my man.
You know,
Um,
it's not too late for most people. It's 10:30 here in the UK, but I was telling you guys before that when I'm training, I had my last spar tonight. I'm in bed for 8 p.m. so I've had a coffee. I'm actually in my pajamas, so apologies. But I'm good. It's all good.
Hey, listen. Even I don't train for fights, and I'm usually in bed by 8. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But hey, listen. This is your first fight after being out of the ring for around 17 months. How is your
Yep.
training going?
It's gone well. I'm in good shape again. Uh, it has been a tough 17 months, but we finally have something. We finally have some news. So I'll be fighting in Lagos, Nigeria next Friday, live on DAZN.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've got myself back into good shape. My team have um, worked really hard over the last few months, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Now, listen. Have you had to do anything in terms of your training differently because of the layoff?
You know, it's difficult because most people, because they've not seen me for a long time, they might have thought I've been out of the gym and I've not been involved in boxing, but I've still been in the gym. I've still been working since that 17 months ago, that last fight. It's just I haven't been able to get a fight. I've been a sparring partner over the last year. I've made sacrifices, spent time away from my family, like training, bit sparring. I just haven't had that end fight. So I've kept myself healthy. We've added a new conditioning coach to the team this fight, but the rest of the team we've kept the same. We're a strong knit team. We we all work well together, and they've got me back into amazing shape.
Well, that's good. I was wondering about if you had to get extra sparring, to shake off some rust or
Yeah,
or whatever.
I've spent a little time in. I was a few weeks ago. I was out in Rome, in Italy, sparring, and then I've just got back from Scotland as well. So we finished sparring out up in Scotland. Um, we were on the lookout for young, tall opposition to spar, and it took us to a place called Stirling in Scotland. So I've spent a little time up there, but I'm back now for a little bit before flying to Nigeria.
I got one of my guys in the chat room. He's got a question here for you. I'll
Yep.
put it up on the screen. But he's saying you took your first loss late in your career. Did that defeat expose something in your style, or did it prove you belonged at that level?
So I've actually had two losses. Um, I took my first defeat back in about 3 years ago now. I boxed Virgil Ortiz out in Texas, and you can never be proud of a loss, but I took a lot from that and a lot of praise, and I proved to everyone I was world level. But then that last loss back 18 months ago for the IBO against Tulani and Bengay, it was a tough one to take. And not many people know, but in the build up for that fight, I was out in Philadelphia sparring with Boots. I had an amazing camp, but I flew home 10 days before I was due to fight with the flu. I was sick, and I took a gamble on it because I had such a good training camp, such good sparring. You can't get better sparring than Boots. And I gambled on it and thought if I could shift this flu and go into fight week and make weight, I'll be okay. And made weight okay, started to breathe again, felt good. But you never really know how you're going to be until you're under them lights. And had a good first round, and then every bit of energy was sucked out of my body. And I lost to somebody where 9 times out of 10, on a good night, I would have beat that guy. Um, Definitely. So it was a tough one to take. And since some people think with a loss, more people will want to fight you. Well, I've took that loss and I'm more avoided.
Yeah. Well, fighters like you, other fighters respect because you do fight the tougher fights, and I think I hope you learn that if you're not 100%, don't care what the fans say. You got to be
Yeah,
100%, because uh, you know, hey, listen, you're fighting an opponent who's a young kid, 21 years old. He's undefeated. He's got a high knockout ratio, 75%. Are you expecting him to come right at you? And if you are, did you train for that?
of course. Like I am a 30 professional fight veteran now. There's no style that I've never seen before. I've boxed tall guys before. Chris Congo, I put him down in the first round. Just for an example, I fought young guys before. Um, and more importantly, I fought undefeated guys before. I think he might have been the sixth or seventh undefeated guy of box. So, and that, I know what it's like going into a big fight undefeated. Before, when I went to fight Virgil Ortiz, that confidence I had was I'd never tasted defeat before. So this guy, this young kid, he's gonna have that same aura, that same confidence. But one thing I'm good at, well, one thing you can't buy experience, definitely. And another thing I'm so good at is these young, undefeated, confident guys. Round by round, their confidence will fade. He's a young kid that he's looked very good in the clips I've seen. He's looked very good at a very little level,
Right.
and
Right.
he's going from swimming with goldfish to swimming in open waters with a shark that's been there and done it, and it's a massive jump for him. And I'm going to make him all that experience I've gained over the years. I'm going to make him feel every single inch of it.
The truth of the matter is he's only had 9 fights in his whole life. He only fought one amateur fight
Yeah.
and he lost. So he's only got 9 fights under
Yeah,
his.
but BoxRec don't show every amateur fight on there. On BoxRec, my amateur record is one with one loss, but I actually had near on 60 amateur fights.
Well, BoxRec's not people think they're not the official record keeping. It's called
No.
Fight Facts, but you know that. But
Yeah, yeah, I know. But
yeah,
the fact is, he's a young, confident kid that hasn't put a foot wrong. Um, but I'm about to show there's a massive jump in levels.
it looks like it just by judging who he has fought, he's clearly jumping a huge jump in levels. Do you feel that the layoff you had has helped you in any way? I mean, you said you were working hard anyway. I mean, but did you have a chance to refresh, not only your body but your mind?
My mind's been very frustrated, if I'm honest, for the last 16 months, not being able to get anything. And you got to think boxing's my job. I've got 4 children at home. I had a baby son last year without getting fights. Like children are expensive. So it has been frustrated, and it hasn't really, like, being at home without a fight. Don't really rest because I've got lots of kids. But
No wonder why you have to go so far away to train. You got to be able to
yeah,
get some sleep, right?
that's it. That's it. But I've got children to feed, and without boxing, it does get tough. So there's a lot of built up frustration, um, and I'm about to unleash it next week.
Well, listen, a win next week should get you right back into the conversation.
Yeah.
Not that you're looking past it, but do you think that that adds more pressure too? And assuming everything goes well, is there anybody you have your sights on?
There's a little bit of pressure. Me being the experienced guy that's kind of had a bit of a, what some people say, a layoff, not being able to fight, trying to get everything back. but I'm very focused on this job. Like, I'm very confident. I know how important this task is next week for me and my career. Um, but since I lost to Mbenge, I haven't used my voice as much because I haven't felt like I've deserved to. Because the fact is I have come off a loss. So after I get the job done next week, I'll be using my voice again for sure, and I will be getting them big fights.
Is that what you would want? Like a big fight? I mean, assuming that I know that was a stupid question, but I mean it sincerely. Assuming you get the job done in Nigeria, I mean, don't you think another fight could add some value? Another win could add some value for the big fight, because once you get past this guy on next week, the calls are going to come. You know that they're gonna.
Do you think
It's gonna be up to you whether you take the first one or not. Is that something that you're gonna do?
if it makes sense, we're taking it? Time waits for no man. I'm in my prime. I've wasted a whole year, no fault of mine. I turned 32 a few days ago. You know, Time waits for no man. So we want them big fights straight away. We do. I am. I'm a young 32. I'm healthy. I live a good life, and you know, people don't really would say I was that age, but I am. So I want these big fights. Sooner the better.
The Virgil Ortiz fight. I know it didn't come out the way you wanted. Was the fact that it was under a big light fight, did that add to it, that you feel that you've been able to, now you've been there, done that, that's not going to happen to you again?
Yeah, in that Virgil Ortiz fight, we'll brush over the fact that I cut him. I won rounds against him. I was an awful night's work for him. I gave him a lot of problems he had never seen in the ring before. I took him further than anybody else at that time, and I earned the respect of the boxing world. I was always in the fight, and I pulled out. My father pulled me out with a hip injury in round 9. So I proved a lot that night. I proved I was world class. I proved I can stand in there with the best. So ever since then, that's always, like when people say, "Oh, what's your goal?" My goal's the top, because I know I can compete there. It's not this guy or this guy. My goal is the very top. So yeah, we take care of business next week, and then I'm only looking at the top names.
Well, listen, that would be great, and that if one of those fall in your lap and it works out great, then you're really in good shape. But you know that,
Yeah, that's it. That's
and you're in good hands. I know you're in good hands.
yeah.
So, anything you want to add in closing before you go to sleep? I mean, can we expect anything if we watch you on DAZN? What are we going to see?
Tune in. People that have watched my rise, watch me in my big fights in the past, know what to expect. A clinical performance. Um, but this fight's gonna be an old dog taking a young cub to school.
That's I'll tell you what, it's got the makings for that. That's for sure. But I appreciate you taking the time. I know I'll be watching, and we look forward to having you on again.
No, I appreciate for letting me come on.
Hey, brother, good luck. I'll be watching.
See ya.
All right, that's Michael the Problem McKinson. You can check him out Friday. He's fighting on DAZN, and remember, he took some time to be with us today, so I appreciate that.